Am I the asshole for not wanting to talk to my coworker on our train commute anymore? Am I the asshole for not wanting to talk to my coworker on our train commute anymore? Wow, I don't know where to start. So I, 24F, live just outside of New York. It takes roughly an hour and 20 minutes for me to get to work. I have to change onto a different train during each journey. I just started this job 2 months ago. To be honest, it's kind of stressful. The job is extremely long hours. Sometimes I have to come home and take calls long into the night. I barely have any time for myself anymore. I hardly ever get to see my parents, and although I live with my boyfriend, I feel like we never get to spend any quality time together anymore. Whenever I am at home, I'm super drained and can't even hold down a conversation unless it's for me to complain about work. I can feel him slowly growing tired of it. I am very irritable lately. To be honest, a lot of the reason I carry this baggage is because I have to share my commute with someone else. One of my coworkers, 25F, also commutes with me. We both started the job at the same time roughly 3 months ago. A lot of people were brought into the company at the time to build out a brand new team. We live in the same town, and this is pretty much the only train that will get us to work on time. She meets me at the train station every single day. She also takes the train home with me. It wouldn't be so bad if I didn't find her so annoying. She thinks we are friends because for the past 3 months I have acted friendly towards her because honestly I felt like I had no other choice. In the office she constantly comes to my cubicle or follows me to the toilet or to the coffee machine. It got to the point where my boss has formally reprimanded us both because we stand up and talk too much. I have notified and am actively trying to distance myself, but she won't let me. I've tried to brush her off on the commutes or at work a few times, but she can't take a hint. She is also super manipulative and a huge office gossip who openly admits to manipulating people so she can get her way. A couple of members of my team agree, and there was a discussion about it, but she didn't take the quite direct hint at all. ANF came to my cubicle straight after the meeting to talk about it. I resent being lumped in with her when I'm actively trying to distance myself and performing reasonably well at work, whereas she is not. Most of my coworkers and my boss don't realize that I don't reciprocate the friendship. And that I'm being robbed off an extra 2.5 hours a day listening to her gossip, compulsive lies, threats against coworkers and other wild claims. I don't have any time to decompress or listen to podcasts etc. And no, I can't just put in headphones. She will tap me on the shoulder or point out I'm ignoring her. I think the worst part is that she literally yells when she talks and talks about the most inappropriate stuff. It gives me severe social anxiety. She even started smoking just so she can join me on smoke breaks because I think she was jealous that I talked to another colleague out there. I feel like I am not allowed to have my own friends or personality because she constantly butts in to talk about herself or patronize my intelligence. I feel like I have been robbed at the chance of establishing myself and my own personality, and people just see me as an extension of her now. Today after work I told her I was staying late to take a client call, in reality to get away from her and get on a different train, but she offered to wait over an hour and a half for me. When she wasn't looking, I ran out to the train by myself. She texted me to ask where I went, and I said I thought she had left already and my call got cancelled, so I was going. She seemed pissed. I've asked the advice of everyone I know who is rational and got such mixed answers. Am I the asshole? Mini update. This morning I got the train with her and told her I wanted to put in my earphones and rest. Anytime I opened my eyes for even a second she would talk to me. I said multiple times I was trying to rest before work. I am gonna start either taking the earlier train and going to the gym before work or just sitting in the office for half an hour alone. It's kinda a pain because I like to smoke a joint with my boyfriend before I leave for work, and if I get the earlier train I won't be able to. Meaning I'm losing even more personal time to this leech. To be honest, I'm getting from the replies it's like 50% my own fault for not having big enough balls to tell her to F off. But also, I accidentally told her a lot of incriminating gossip about myself, and I'm scared if she even gets a hint of me disliking her she will leak it all, not just at work but in our hometown. Which is small. But feels even smaller when you have a problem with someone. The worst bit about the whole part? An extremely annoying friend of mine from school when I was a lot younger, significant others the train with us. They hit it off immensely and now I have to hear both voices. This is my fault, I know. But I'm too painfully awkward to do anything about it. Soon we will start working from home twice a week. Hopefully that will make some difference. I'll keep updating you guys. Whoa. She sounds like a nightmare. Absolutely not the asshole, but I think you need to speak to your boss about it privately and let them know how you really feel so you're not lumped in with her anymore. You need to talk to HR about her behavior. This borders on stalking. The time for being nice is over. Too bad if she gets super upset. This is your life, not hers. Not the asshole. But you haven't told her straight out that you aren't friends and you don't want to associate with her anymore. These hints that your team is giving her aren't you working. You are all adults. Learn to use your words. Not hints. Direct words. If that's not enough, back it up with an email asking her to refrain from following you around the office, to the train and anywhere else. Let her know you are coworkers and unless it's about work you would rather she not invade your space and time. Listen. Who cares if she doesn't like you? Report her to HR and on the ride home put in your headphones. When she says you're ignoring her just say, "Yup," and continue listening. Being nice has gotten you nowhere, time to be blunt. You're not the asshole for not wanting to hang out with her. Not the asshole, but you should be straight with her instead of playing games. I'm very busy and I want to use my commute as time to myself. I'll talk to you at work. Put in headphones if you have to. Not the asshole. The next time your manager or supervisor speaks to you about standing and chatting too much, ask to speak to them privately. Tell them the coworker is following you to the washroom to chat, they are interfering with your work and you have been trying to redirect her without success. It may not appear to them that she is engaging these conversations, but bringing it up with your employer may cause them to observe your interactions differently. Edit. Typo. Not the asshole. Please, go talk to HR about this. Her insistence on talking to you constantly and the subject matter regarding her coworkers is creating an unpleasant work environment for you. Seriously consider getting noise-canceling headphones for the train and tell her outright that you need some quiet time for those trips because you are tired. Hell, tell her your doctor recommended it. It's like she's stalking you during daylight hours. Not the asshole. Check out this post on Ask a Manager for advice on how to get out of this. Am I the asshole for not believing my daughter's lie, and canceling our weekend? Last week I went to use my Bluetooth headphones, they were gone out of my bag where they always are. I asked my daughter if she had them, she's always taking my stuff without asking. I've told her all she has to do is ask whenever she needs to borrow my stuff, that's all I ask in return. Because I know I won't get it back as she'll deny it. She said no, I was skeptical, she guilt-tripped me saying I never believe her etc. Which she's not wrong, I don't, as she has a history of lying. She's constantly lying to me, even small insignificant things. It's frustrating. I felt awful and apologized, just assumed I'd left them in the car or somewhere else. I wanted to believe her. Anyway, yesterday I was in her room looking for something I knew she'd borrowed which I needed back. I didn't go through her stuff or anything of the sort. I respect her privacy. Noticed her makeup bag on the floor and had a look in there for my moisturizer, and there are my headphones. I was not happy. Decided I'd wait to talk to her when I picked her up from her course. When she gets in the car I tell her I found them and ask why she'd lied. She keeps saying she doesn't know how they got there etc. I ask to see her Bluetooth pairings on her phone, as if it's not paired I'd believe her. She wouldn't. We argued about it for at least 10 minutes. She kept up the argument that I wouldn't believe her either way. Which I told her no, that's not true, she just refused to show me. She wouldn't budge. She ended up crying and I could tell she was very stressed. I kept asking to see the pairings that if she hadn't used them they wouldn't be in her phone. She ended up getting out of the car and walking off. I watched her, and unsurprisingly she got on her phone straight away. I gave her a couple minutes for myself and her to calm down, then asked her to get back in the car. I asked again to please just show me her pairings. I wasn't surprised when she showed me straight away. I knew she deleted it when she got out, it's just so obvious to me. I said to her, you flat out refused to show me before you had a chance to delete it. You were in obvious distress about showing me, but as soon as you had the chance to delete it and get back in the car you show me straight away? I wasn't born yesterday. But now I'm the asshole because I said I'd believe her and now I don't. I'm at my wit's end with her constant lies and deceitful tendencies. I want to believe her, I truly do. It just doesn't make sense for her to not know about them being in her makeup bag when she had makeup on when I picked her up. I'm meant to be taking her and her friend away for a trip this weekend to hot pools and a bungee jump. I want to cancel it if she doesn't own up to the truth. Am I the asshole? Edit for info. She's almost 18. I started to recognize this behavior as an issue from around the age of 5. She's been in and out of therapy from the age of 13-14, always stops and refuses to back after several sessions due to thinking the therapist is a dick. her words from most recent one. Even though she likes it at first and is open with chatting to me about it again at first. She's had no major trauma that I know of apart from me and her dad splitting when she was 3. She was week on per week off with us co-parenting together. Anyway, little update, she rang me. I completely avoided the subject of asking for her honesty entirely and went straight to asking her if she'd be open to trying therapy again. She lost it on me, started saying very hurtful things, even said she'll be spending Christmas at her dad's. No idea where that came from. I let her finish and asked what time she will be home as we need to sit down and have a chat. I told her I won't be angry, we just need to talk. She's not coming home tonight apparently. I didn't get a chance to let her know I will be canceling the weekend, as she hung up on me after telling me she wasn't coming home. Thank you to everyone that's taken the time to comment not the asshole or you are the asshole etc. It's all helped. I've tried to keep up but there's so many, I will do my best to answer. Not the asshole, do not let her get away with these lies. She'll become more confident in lying and become an adult that no one can stand. Not the asshole. Cancel the trip. Has she had consequences like this in the past? Not the asshole. You didn't believe her because she very obviously deleted the evidence before getting back in the car to show you. That's not clearing her name, it's showing how far she's willing to go to lie. Punishment comes with lying. Cancel the weekend and don't feel bad about it. She may see you as ta, but she's the child and you're the adult. You aren't there to make friends with her, you're there to parent her. Lying and stealing gets you jail when you're an adult. She needs to know these sorts of things have consequences. I think you have bigger problems here. Consult with a family therapist or psychologist. NTA, and I'm answering as someone who has been like your daughter. A pathological liar needs therapy to figure out why they feel the need to lie, and how to combat it. I'm not gonna say cancel or don't cancel, but definitely try and get her into therapy. Not the asshole. She's obviously lying, but you know that. It's frustrating because it seems you've made clear that it's not even like she'd be in trouble if she just fessed up to borrowing them. But now you know that she is a thief, a liar, and a gaslighter. Not the asshole. You must reality check her every single time she's caught lying. Then give her reasonable consequences, such as canceling a trip. She's just immature and hasn't learned that restraining impulses and owning our mistakes is important. Don't let her manipulate you. You constantly accuse me of lying. Look her dead in the eye. You're the only person who can do anything about that. Good on you for holding her accountable. If she's never punished for her lying, she could grow up to be, gasp, a politician. Rolling on the floor laughing. Not the asshole. Cancel it and don't plan anything else until she establishes a better pattern of behavior. Am I the asshole? I got blackout drunk to avoid my wife's aunt. So, I, 24M, have been married to my wife Ellie, 23F, for about a year and it's been going good so far. My wife just got a huge promotion and while it hasn't affected her hours, it does mean that she's going to spend the next 2 weeks on a company retreat. Now, Ellie's Aunt Jane, 40F, is the only one who lives in our neighborhood and simply put, she lives the American dream and she flaunts it to everyone. She's rich and successful. One of the things she does to flaunt her wealth is often going out with younger guys and sometimes girls. In fact, she brought a 19-year-old girl as her date to our wedding and we never saw her again. I get frustrated seeing her and her date in the photos, but my wife and her sisters just laugh it off. So during the entire time I dated my wife and have even been married to her, her aunt has always made comments like, "What a wonderful little boy toy. If Ellie didn't take you, I'd scoop you up," or, "Maybe I can teach you a few things for Ellie." When we were dating, she even used to pat my ass. She does all of this both in private and in front of my wife or her sisters. My wife just laughs it off and her sisters have told me it's just the kind of family they are. I was able to ignore it since it was most harmless until my wife and I moved to the city where Jane lives. Since then, Jane tends to come over a lot to hang out with my wife since she reminds Jane of her sister, my wife's dead mom. With that, the flirting has amped up to the point where sometimes I'm wondering if she is coming on to me. My wife seems to find it hilarious. When I talked to her about it, she told me to talk to her if her aunt ever tried something real, beyond words, and that she wasn't going to cut out a link to her mom just cause she flirts with younger people. Yesterday, my wife went on the retreat and she asked Jane to clean our house since she figured I wouldn't do it and to cook and stuff. When I found out Jane was coming, I guess I panicked since I didn't want to put up with her flirting when my wife wasn't around, and I got seriously drunk to the point where I collapsed on the couch. When I woke up the next morning, Jane was in the house, Apparently she came the previous night and carried me to my bed, and she chewed me out for getting so drunk, stating that she knew I did it to avoid her because I drunkenly said so and that if I had an issue with her I could handle it like an adult. Then she said that if she knew I handled my issues like a teenager, she'd have advised my wife never to marry me. She left then, but I've been feeling seriously like an asshole because Jane is right. I never confronted her about the way she's been acting and I handled having her in the house in the worst way possible. I texted my wife the situation and she's left me on scene and Jane hasn't picked up my calls either. Edit. Some people are commenting about Jane patting my ass. While I never liked it, I was about 19 then. My wife told me it was a weird parental thing. As soon as I proposed, it stopped since Ellie did talk to her about it. The flirting is what has continued and amped up. Update. So I met with Jane at a public place and I have to say I completely feel like I'm the asshole now and I feel like I've ruined my marriage. So, we met in a coffee shop with people around so there was no screaming or anything. I tried to tell Jane that I didn't appreciate her constant flirting but she accused me of being attracted to her. She then showed me a video of me when I was drunk and while most of it was drunken rambling, there were times when I said unsavory things about her and blamed her for me drinking. She said she hadn't sent it to my wife yet but would if I didn't tell her what I said when she came back. I've tried calling my wife but all I've gotten from her is a text saying we'll talk later. I feel so screwed. I think this is more than being an this is serious. It's sexual harassment to continue to flirt when you've said no, and to touch your butt. It's also very bad that you're so scared of her you had to get drunk to avoid her. Please talk to your wife about this and see if you can go and see. Not the asshole. You felt unsafe around this woman. Your wife knows this and offered your home up to her? You need a come to Jesus talk with your wife. This woman is sexually harassing you and your wife doesn't care. Think about that. She actually finds it funny. You are being sexually harassed and your spouse is laughing about it. It was immature to use alcohol and frankly, unsafe given that woman's comments, but you have a way bigger problem than getting drunk one time. Your wife needs to either take it seriously that her aunt is sexually harassing you or you need to distance yourself from your wife and her family to protect your mental health. No judgment. Not the healthiest coping mechanism, but your wife and her family are TAs. You need to confront this now before it goes on any longer. Who's to say creepy aunt won't continue acting inappropriately if you guys have kids in the future, once they get to her preferred praying age? Not the asshole. You're being sexually harassed. It can and does happen to men. Aunt is fucking gross. Is there any way for you to leave and stay with friends? Not the asshole. My man, if you are so desperate not to be harassed by someone that you would get drunk to avoid them, then something is really wrong. You need to seriously talk to your wife about how this is making you uncomfortable to the point of being drunk. Also, I truly hate to ask but I think it should be. Nothing happened when you blacked out, right? Not the asshole. You may not have chosen the wisest way to deal with being sexually harassed but it doesn't make you an asshole. Am I the asshole for preventing my wife's son from seeing her? I am using a throwaway as this is my wife's story and I don't want it to be traced back. My wife had a toxic and traumatic past with a man when she was young and innocent. I won't go into details but basically, he already had a sick wife and tricked my wife to bear him a kid, and paid her a large amount of money so that she would leave the kid to him and get on with her life pretending nothing happened. Currently, we are doing well with our own 4-year-old daughter. We don't speak about my wife's past and nobody but her parents and close relatives knew about it. We went back to my wife's hometown a week for a funeral and distribution and stayed at my wife's parents' place. I don't know how it was known, but soon my wife started to receive texts from the man, who claimed that his wife had passed away too and his son, who's also my wife's son, wants to meet her. He is 11 now. My wife immediately blocked him, and then we moved out from her parents' house to hotel to avoid them. During this time my wife stayed indoors with our daughter and I handled most of the businesses for her. The man actually brought the boy to my wife's parents' house one of the days and insists seeing her. I was there that day and told both the man and the boy clearly that my wife has nothing to do with the boy the moment he bought him from her. She sold him and she does not want to see either of them. The man was furious and the boy just stood there looking scared, of me maybe. I made sure to keep a lookout for the other of the days too and soon we were done with the family business and went back home. We thought this incident was over until recently it blew up in her family that one of her relatives was trying to help my wife's son to see his real mother, that I had made the reunion impossible, also hurting the boy in the process. We have no news about what happened later, nor do we intend to know. My wife said she doesn't want to return to her hometown ever again after this, but her family were split between blaming me for preventing the boy from seeing his mother and hurt his feelings with my words, and blaming the relative who tattled on us to the man. Am I at fault and being the asshole here? Edit. I am sorry as I am unable to provide details to their past relationship because they are sore spots for my wife. I can only share what she agrees on sharing. 1. We are not from US. My wife's hometown is also a very long distance away from where we are living now. 2. The exchange might not have been completely legal or moral, but since no authorities were involved it went smoothly and my wife moved away from her hometown with the money afterwards. If authorities do get involved, all I can say is that everything will get very ugly for everyone and the man will have it worse, so it is unlikely for him to go for it. 3. My wife does not consider the boy as her own, has no intention to see him at all if ever, and I respect her decision. For us, our daughter is our only child. 4. We have already cut contacts with several of her relatives, and may even cut off her own parents if they decide to pressure her regarding the boy. As for the man, from what we heard, is using the boy as a means to get sympathy from her relatives. Not the asshole for trying to protect your wife and her wishes, but I was there that day and told both the man and the boy clearly that my wife has nothing to do with the boy the moment he bought him from her. She sold him and she does not want to see either of them. You are the asshole for saying all of this in front of an innocent child who didn't deserve to hear that he was bought and sold like a Build-A-Bear doll. Not the asshole. The only person who deserves blame for traumatizing the kid is the asshole who brought him into this situation into the first place, and then decided to drag him along to guilt trip you and your wife into giving in to the demands. Explore whatever steps you need to take to get this guy out of your life once and for all, i.e. a restraining order, and distance yourself from anyone who doesn't see why that's necessary, family or no. Not the asshole for protecting your wife. It must have been extremely traumatic for her and her ex doesn't get to decide that she has to be the mom, now that his wife passed and it seems convenient to him. You are the asshole for what you said in front of the poor kid though. It would have been better to take the dude aside and have a word with him, rather than basically telling the kid that his own father bought him from his biological mother like a doll, especially since he apparently just lost his previous mother figure as well. Not the asshole. Your wife made her wishes known, and obviously a relative thought they'd violate her wishes and show up. That unnamed person is the asshole here. You could have handled it without crushing the kid like that, but I'm not sure I'd have any better tact if someone just showed up like that. Your wife did not wish to meet the boy. You facilitated her wishes. Not the asshole. I do feel sorry for the kid though, not his fault. Not the asshole. Your wife needs to say, I can't see the child because of the cruelty of his father. For my mental health and if you love me you will never mention him or the child again. If you have a relationship with the child I don't want to know about it and the moment someone tries to force a relationship between us I will cut you out of my life. I will have to because you have shown that you care nothing about my well-being. Edit to add vote. NTA. This boy didn't know your wife existed until his mom died. It sounds like your wife was a surrogate for these people. Whether it was willing or not, I don't know and it doesn't matter. I feel for this kid but your wife does not have to meet him or be a part of his life. She gave him up and has no obligation to facilitate a relationship. She essentially gave him up for adoption. Talk to a lawyer and make sure everything is in order in case dad is only looking to offload his son now that his wife is gone. It's a weird move after 11 years to show up and demand she be his mom now. Are you the asshole for blowing up in front of the kid? Yeah, but it's understandable. Protect your wife and her wishes. I feel for this kid but his dad is making poor decisions that are hurting his son. Everyone sucks here except the innocent kid.